Welcome back. It is September 11th, 2020. And in keeping with YouTube form, going back to my old channel, my initial plan for tonight was to do a 9/11 video. Instead, I'm just going to say, let's have a moment of silence for those that died. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. We're going to talk. I'm going to keep with the theme of my last two videos. Insurgents and who are the insurgents. I want to talk about insurgent tactics tonight. One of the comments on a previous video, one viewer, a gentleman by the name of Slim6400, was the thought process behind this, and the driving impetus to continue on this path of insurgent tactics. Not all of them are violent. Not all of their tactics are violent. Because you don't always have to be violent to get where you want to be. Sometimes all you need to do is successfully delegitimize an opposing viewpoint, or attempt to delegitimize an opposing viewpoint. One of the ways to do that is to express disappointment, name call, and then wash the other person's face in your race, religion, sexual preference, what have you, whatever it is to use, whatever it is you're using to call that person a bigot, a sexist, a xenophobe, what have you. So this individual put up a comment on my last video, said, "It's a shame you wear a uniform and a badge." Now, you could take that comment a couple of different ways. So I said, well, I don't think so. Please explain. And then this individual proceeded to tell me how my opinions express the stereotypes that create bad opinions for groups like BLM, which he as a black man doesn't support, right? But what you failed to do was call out other groups like the Proud Boys or the right-wing militia. Well, there's a reason I don't call them out. What I said in the comments, the reply to that gentleman's comment. The Proud Boys are a fucking joke. All they do is get in fights with Antifa and basically get their asses kicked. And the right-wing militia, if that's what you want to call militia groups, a right-wing militia, well, they're not out burning cities, beating people up, and doing things like that. But remember, if you don't disagree with those groups the same way you would disagree with BLM or Antifa, you're a bigot, and therefore you're part of the problem, and you're now delegitimized as a human, as a group, as an organization. And once that group is delegitimized, you can move forward with dehumanizing them. dehumanizing a group makes it very easy to enact violence on them. Best example, Nazi Germany, German Jews, or European Jews in general, right? First they delegitimized them as businessmen, as members of their community, as government officials, what have you. Then they dehumanized them through caricature, through media, through, what's the word I'm looking for? Propaganda. And once they had been delegitimized and dehumanized, we all know what happened next. So if you don't think that there's a group on the left, this is, make no mistake, this is a leftist tactic to delegitimize, dehumanize, and then dispose of a group. If you don't think there's that silently approving group on the left that will attempt to do these things because they themselves are wishy-washy on performing acts of violence like Antifa or BLM. But they don't necessarily disagree with the violence. They just, I don't want to get my hands dirty. Those are the people that will come out first to delegitimize you, then to dehumanize you, so it's easy for these other groups to come in and dispose of you. This is a tactic through history. The communists did it in Russia. Obviously the Nazis did it in Germany. And now the left is doing it in this country. Because you don't voice your disagreement with this group, that must be tacit approval. Well, no. Because if you don't listen to the point of what I'm saying, then you can totally miss it, right? Because what is an insurgent? A group that's trying to overthrow the government. And the Proud Boys can't even overthrow frickin' Antifa. And most of the right-wing militias that I've seen muster for whatever reason, the ones that do actually muster don't do much, let alone enact violence. And the rest of them, well, I wouldn't muster with them. So they don't fit the category per se of what I'm speaking about. So will I backtrack and poo-poo these groups? No. They're not part of what we're discussing at the moment. If they become relevant as insurgent groups trying to overthrow the government, well, yeah, then we can talk about it. But currently, status quo, those groups aren't worth my discussion. The ones that are the ones that are enacting violence, which would be Black Lives Matter and Antifa. So if discussing them, in your mind, makes somebody a bigot because they don't discuss the other groups, then I think you have the problem, my friend. Because if you can't can't see the forest through the trees to say, trying to overthrow the government, the representative republic that has stood since, what, 1787 was the Constitutional Convention? Then you, sir, are part of the problem. And that's a broad brush that I'm painting with. That doesn't necessarily mean this one person that commented that I feel worthy of discussion. Because make no mistake, there's a group, a large group of people out there that would say the same thing, i.e., the left-wing media. Well, yeah, these groups are bad, but look at those other groups. Well, yeah, what are they doing? One's trying to figure out how to tie their shoelaces, and the other one's wiping the donut jelly off their plate carrier. Or standing there making a show of force and protecting private property and private business. Which, when people in my line of work cease to do their job and protect private property and private business and enforce the law, I believe it becomes incumbent on the citizenry to do that. Not throw a frickin' Molotov cocktail. Not beat the hell out of some old guy because he had a MAGA hat on. Consciously, I wasn't trying to bait a lefty when I made those videos. In the back of my mind, I figured it would happen. Somebody would inevitably come out and be like, but they're not all bad, they want social justice. Well, yeah, but you're not really winning hearts and minds by burning people's shit to the ground. You're not really winning hearts and minds by calling people that don't agree with you a bigot. You're not winning hearts and minds when you come on to someone's channel, tell the content provider they should be ashamed of who they are because you think they're a bigot, without going back and watching all of their content. And then maybe you can take out of context or lack of context what you want. Instead of throwing verbal hand grenades. But again, that's what they do. And I'm sure some of you that are watching that have channels have experienced this as well. And it's a very effective tactic, if nothing else. Because if you can take away somebody's voice by delegitimizing them, that's it. It's very easy to take the next steps beyond that. So I suspect there will be some hate in the comments of this video, and I look forward to it. I suspect there'll be some love in the comments of this video, and I look forward to that too. Most of all, I look forward to this day being over. Maybe we'll address that 1 year from today, if we're all still in the same place. On that note, YouTube, good night. Be safe, watch your six. Out for now.